Hi, my name's Steven. I'm the little brother.
My name's Kevin. I'm the middle brother.
My name's David. I'm the biggest of all the brothers.
This is the Brothers Born podcast. The three of us don't see each other very often, so we decided that this is how we're going to hang out. We hope that y'all like listening. All right, talk to you soon.
All right, so we are back. And when we left off our last episode, we had a little challenge presented, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I recall. Okay, so the challenge is going to be Dave or Steven. You should have a character. You don't know what your characters are yet. So why don't we, what I'm going to do is why don't we start with like a brief introduction of each character and then
Sure.
save the name for last.
Like
All
a
right.
bio or what do you need?
Just for, like real quick, just like a name, where they're from, whatever. And
You
then
go
give
first.
and then reveal who it is. All right. So actually I want David to go first. That's all right.
Okay, and then tell you the name when after I've given his.
Yeah, include it at the end. Make it sound like
origin.
a WWE star entering the ring.
I don't have any music, but that'd be cool.
Sorry.
Do. Okay, here's what I got. My evil villainish person that we're going with in this game. His birthday was February 21st, 1948. His death date was a tragic Christmas Eve night in 1988. He was of German origin, born shortly after Hitler's reign ended. His family included a brother named Simon. He actually had a son too, named Pierre, who was later famous in the video game world. He was a highly educated person and very resourceful.
I think I know who it is.
You think you know who it is? All right. Why don't you
Wanna
take a guess,
or
Steve?
am I?
Is that Hans Gruber?
It is Hans Gruber, indeed.
All right. So on Team Dave, we got Hans
I will
Gruber.
count to 3. There will be no 4.
All right. So we got Hans Gruber on one side. What about you, Steve? What's yours?
So my character, his real name is classified. His birthplace, classified. His alias is the Silent Master. He is an expert in karate, kung fu, jujitsu, ninjutsu, taekwondo, among others, and advanced infantry. My character is... David, you want to guess?
See, you had me till the martial arts part. I was thinking James Bond, but I don't know about martial arts and James Bond. Who was it?
He was very popular in the 1980s.
Yes, he was.
Snake Eyes.
Yes.
I forgot Snake Eyes for a second. I forgot he was on there for a second. Okay.
So
All right,
my
so
character
yeah.
is Snake Eyes.
So we got Snake Eyes versus Hans Gruber. So this is good. I think this is actually really interesting. Although Snake Eyes has a slight advantage over physical prowess. So I want to focus more on other traits like charisma, intelligence, leadership, that sort of thing. Not to say that you can't use a physical fight, but Snake Eyes. So, all right. So who's going to go first? Who's going to start this off?
I'll just see how this rolls out. Okay. Hans Gruber, a.k.a. Bill Clay. He, like I said earlier, born in 1948 from Germany. He was classically educated, and he used his training to get in with I want to say, I haven't seen the movie in a while. I didn't have a chance to watch it, honestly, but was it the Volksfree movement, which is a radical West German terrorist organization that Hans Gruber became pretty big in. At some point, however, they gave Gruber the boot because all he wanted to do was, he was so radical. He was so, I don't know if they liked his tactics. He was a little extreme for them. So that's kind of his background. He used his training that he received with the Volksfree to be able to do things such as anticipate attacks and defenses. He knew how to counteract them. He knew how to use his resources. So as far as training goes, maybe not so much the physical training, but definitely intellectual and terrorist training. So, that's dangerous as well, even though maybe he couldn't throw down with a ninjutsu like Snake Eyes can. He definitely has resources that he can use.
All right. Well, Snake Eyes, if there's one thing he's good at, it's taking down terrorist organizations. Am I right? Cobra, case in point.
Hey, that's
The
true.
Cobra Commander still lives. Just throwing that out there.
But Gruber and Cobra Commander, okay, there's a little correlation. But go ahead.
So you mentioned that Hans Gruber is intelligent, and that is correct. I cannot dispute that. The dude's got some. He's been very well trained. And while Snake Eyes might not have the formal education, he has commando training.
Very nice suit, Mr. Takagaji. It would be a shame to ruin it.
And he trained with the Arashikage. Is that right, Kevin? Did I say that correct?
Yeah, Arashikage.
Ninja clan. And dude, this dude's got mad survival skills. For a while, he was living alone, off the grid, in the mountains, killing rabbits and eating them. So the dude knows how to like take what he has, even if it's very little, and make it work for him. So let's be real. Like you were saying, in a battle of pure strength and skill, Snake Eyes would destroy Hans Gruber. Now, I will say, in this realm of intelligence or some of his other qualities, it's quite a contend. Hans Gruber is quite a contender for Snake Eyes. But I feel like Snake Eyes' training and experience fighting a terrorist organization would make him well prepared to face Hans Gruber.
All right, that's a fair point. Both for point.
Okay. Now, let me just counteract that. I want to tell you some reasons why Hans Gruber is. I understand Snake Eyes. Definitely, he is intelligent. I played G.I. Joe when I was a kid. I know about Snake Eyes a little bit. I don't know all the stuff Kevin knows, but I do know that Snake Eyes was pretty smart, and he was the strong, silent type. He never talked or anything like that. But Hans Gruber, on the other hand, he knew how to work a crowd, dude. He could bring people in. He could make them think he can speak different accents. He can speak different languages. He definitely could work a crowd. He's a friendly dude. He comes off at first as just this cool. He's wearing a $5,000 suit. He's very intelligent. So that's one of his traits, I believe, that he has, is that he's likable, and he lets. Even at one point he thought he could fool John McClane into giving him a gun. So he's so smooth that he can even, finagle people like that. But he's likable. He has manners. He can work a crowd. But he isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. We know that, right? We know that. So other things he's all knowing, dude. He knew the Nakatomi layout of the whole plaza. He knew where the $640 million of bonds was. He knew how the authorities would react to him, what he needed to do to fool everyone to get in there. He even eventually finds out, maybe it was sort of by accident, by seeing Holly on TV, her daughter on TV, I believe was her daughter. He finds out that Holly is John McClane's estranged wife, and he's able to work that angle too. So he's all-knowing. He's prepared. He's sophisticated, style, poise. Like I said, speaks other languages, $5,000 suit. He knows literature, obviously, history, philosophy, those type of things. He fools people at first into making him think he's a good dude, and then you know who he really is after a while. And the other thing he does is he surrounds himself with the right people. Snake Eyes, strong, good dude, powerful warrior, fighter, whatever. But he doesn't really have an entourage. I guess you could argue that eventually he chose, he's boys with Storm Shadow and those other, whatever, those dumb ninja force that G.I. Joe came out with. So maybe he has an entourage in the end, but really he's like the lone wolf. Gruber surrounds himself with the right people. In fact, I'm going to take a minute to think. I'm going to just go over some of these the Gruber crew, if you will. Now, including Gruber, I believe there's 13 of them. Some of them had bigger roles than others, but they all had different skill set. He recruited them. Somehow he got all these dudes to follow him. For example, you got Carl, right-hand man. Eventually McClane takes care of him, but he's the alpha dog. He kind of runs the show while Gruber's up there thinking of things, planning things. You got Theo. A couple good things about Theo. He's the hacker, obviously. He has a sense of humor. He cracks jokes even when people on his team are getting killed left and right. Keeps it light. Gruber needed someone like that. Also, Theo was a minority. So Gruber was ahead of his time, man. He had the minority who not was just a thug that got killed first like in other movies, but the minority who also had computer technology knowledge. And you got Eddie, the other American, who is able to disguise himself as a police officer. You got Tony, Franco, Fritz, Christoph, James, Alexander, Heinrich, Mario, all these dudes, henchmen that know exactly what they need to do. Some of them make mistakes here and there, but, Gruber did the most research he could. And also, I forgot, Uli, I think his name was. So he knows how to hire the right people, and he surrounds himself with the right people that can handle any situation that he'll come in contact with. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, he doesn't panic. Gruber doesn't panic. Take away the one scene where he's falling off the tower. Other than that, he doesn't panic. He's smooth. He doesn't act on impulse. He sticks to the plan. So I feel like, he would have a way to combat Snake Eyes. I mean, he was able to fool the FBI and the police department. He knows it all, man. So that's a lot of, those are the qualities I think that make Gruber stand apart from the rest and make him one of the greatest villains in movie history and probably of all time.
That's a fair point. I can see where you're going with that. But I gotta say, Snake Eyes didn't even have to talk and people still followed him. That dude was completely silent because he wounded his vocal folds in a crazy helicopter accident. But he was dedicated to his craft. And
so let me ask you this then. Was Gruber the one who sabotaged the helicopter? Because I bet he was.
Could be. So I think, he was silent but deadly. So
you know all about that, don't you?
Every kid in 1984 wanted to be him. He was a fan favorite, and he didn't even need to say anything. So I will say, I don't mean to interrupt you. Let me have my time, but I will say, I found a Snake Eyes toy randomly outside in Germany when we lived there. The original Snake Eyes. And I even knew who it belonged to after a while, but I didn't want to give it back because it was such a cool figure. I think I ended up giving it back eventually, even though the other dude never gave Kevin his General Hawk back. But that's another story. Go ahead. Was it in Germany? When you lived in Germany?
Yeah.
Now, I feel like Hans Gruber might be behind that.
He could be.
No, so Snake Eyes, he also saw the good in others. So Storm Shadow, that dude couldn't make his mind up. He's a Cobra one day, G.I. Joe the next day, Cobra one day. He had a hard time deciding what team he was on. But Snake Eyes always saw the good in him, and he had a certain power over Storm Shadow. They had this agreement, this brotherhood, despite their differing opinions. He had a way to carry. He could motivate a very strong force in that way.
That's true.
And the dude couldn't talk. He probably didn't look very nice because he was all burned up. But Scarlet was still all up on that dude, man. She was like, give me some more of that, Snake Eyes.
He did have a cool suit, though. Although it got worse as the years went on. But he did.
That's true. It did. And I was reading up on him a little bit. There's one point in time where Cobra's trying to, dig into his brains, and they put him in the brainwave scanner because they can get some intel out of it. They couldn't figure anything out, though. You know why? Because he was smart enough to think about something that the Cobras weren't interested in. It goes back to his memories of his high school prom and he's able to distract his mind enough so that the Cobras couldn't pull any intel out of his brain with the brainwave scanner.
No way. I forgot about that. He fooled a brainwave scanner. Huh?
Yeah, man. And that's pretty serious stuff there.
That's intense when he did that, though, because it caused him immense pain.
Yeah. But he withstood it all. And one thing, I like Snake Eyes, and you can relate to this, David. I'm going to appeal to your Captain America thing here. He was devoted to his team. He was a leader, and he knew...
He does have Gruber beat there. Gruber recruits him, but he's not really devoted to him. But go ahead.
Snake Eyes, he followed the rules unless the rules needed to be broken for the greater good. And that's kind of what he kind of lived by. And I think that's a necessary quality in a leader. You follow the pattern, and then when it makes sense to break from the pattern, you have the courage to do so. So he was... he knew how to get the job done.
Okay, you do bring up some good points. Some of those things I had forgotten about. Snake Eyes was pretty good, but I'm not yielding. I'm not saying he's better than Hans Gruber. In a way, I can't remember. I don't think Hans Gruber had him. Maybe one of the lesser known characters that McClane popped in the beginning or something, but I don't think he had someone with the ninja skills Snake Eye had. And I don't know. I think their intelligence, like you said, their intelligence kind of is on par with each other. But Snake Eyes, he has more of a backstory than I realized. You did your research. Good job. I mean, when you get to Hans Gruber, I said before, like he he just does whatever. He sticks to the plan. He doesn't let his heartstrings get in the way or anything like that. Like, he knows. He saw. What did he notice about John McClane's feet? Does anyone remember?
He wasn't wearing shoes.
Right. And then, such the genius that he is, I would have thought, oh, dude, that guy's gonna have a hard time getting around. That stinks. But what does Hans Gruber order be done when he realizes John McClane doesn't have the shoes? Kevin, I'll let you.
Shoots that glass, so it messes up his
Right.
his feet there. They're pretty nasty
Yes.
too. Those are some nasty feet.
And I realized Snake Eyes probably was disfigured. I feel bad for him, disfigured, all that stuff. Hans Gruber, he doesn't care about that. He'll make people disfigured. He took care of John McClane's feet to make it harder, and then John McClane left that trail of blood, which I always thought that whole glass scene with the feet, that was the freakiest. I didn't like that. It made me queasy when I was a kid. If I looked at it now, it might look more like just a cheesy 80s.
No, it still looks pretty dope.
I haven't seen it in years, but yeah, like I said, he's all knowing. He thinks of all the possible outcomes, and he finds ways to address those. So I want to I talked about his crew already, even though McClane took care of his crew. Somehow he was able to get all those men to follow him. Unfortunately, they didn't. I guess that's the one weakness, is maybe they didn't really. They let him down, basically. They weren't expecting John McClane to be the dude he was, and they weren't expecting John McClane to be there. But if McClane wasn't there, this whole scheme of his would have went off without a hitch, and he would have had his $640 million. Because, like I said, he found a way to get into this tower. He took care. He thought of everything. He fooled the FBI. He fooled the police.
Suddenly, I feel like G.I. Joe should have recruited John McClane.
I was just thinking, man, Snake Eyes versus John McClane could be interesting.
That would be pretty good.
That's John. I don't know how John did it, man. Even in the later years of the Die Hard series, some of the things that dude would pull off. So I don't know. Like, I really think that if it wasn't supposed to be, a movie that everyone wanted the good guys to win, then John really wouldn't have a chance against Hans Gruber's crew, because all John really cared about was getting back with his wife,
Yeah.
But and then and then of course you got Officer Urkel's Family Matters, that Al Powell, I think. John somehow got him to realize that, by throwing the dead body on his car, that there was really a problem there. But Gruber already had him fooled too. So just all these different things. Like, when he gets to the building, he cuts the power, he breaks the telephone lines, he kills the president of the building, he makes the elevators so they don't work. Like, he takes care of every one of all the steps he can think of. And I just want to make sure, I'm just going to go through here. I have to make sure I cover everything, because I don't want to shortchange him. But I really believe that, think of the time he came out. I don't know. We don't have a birthday on Snake Eyes, do we? No?
It's classified.
Right.
It is classified.
Right. G.I. Joe came out originally back in Dad's time, but I don't think Snake Eyes was.
No, he was in 1982, I think, was his first appearance.
So Gruber and Snake Eyes might actually be peers.
Yeah,
maybe.
I was thinking that.
Although Snake Eyes, really is ageless in the way the G.I. Joe franchise progressed. But still,
just digress a little bit. They changed Snake Eyes' story because G.I. Joe's been around so long that he no longer fought in Vietnam. He just fought in an unnamed conflict.
Yeah, they've done that for a lot of, like, I think the Punisher
like
is the same way.
and stuff too.
Yeah.
But overall, I believe I made my case pretty well. All-knowing, sophisticated, gets the right crew around him. He's able to calculate whatever's coming up. He's classically trained. He's likable. Unfortunately, his mistake is John McClane got involved, and maybe he shouldn't have been so zealous with, threatening John McClane's wife or whatever. But overall, Gruber, he knows how to handle a group of people. Sophistication, he's charismatic. He's able to get people around him and come up with a plan to get the job done. Just a good villain. Very savage.
I don't have too much more, but I want to make my counterpoint here. In that Hans Gruber, you're right, he's a good leader. And he really crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's with his crew.
Yes, he didn't miss a thing, except for, okay, go ahead, sorry.
But he also he kind of didn't care if his people passed. I mean, he did get kind of emotional about Carl, I think it was, but he was his henchmen were replaceable. Snake Eyes,
Dude, no wait. Okay, go ahead. I have a counterpoint to that later, but go ahead.
Snake Eyes, he was in Vietnam with Stalker. If you remember Stalker from G.I. Joe and Storm
Yes,
Shadow.
I did like Stalker.
They went through Vietnam together, and he built a brotherhood. And that was before he lost his voice and stuff, from what I remember.
Yeah.
And Snake Eyes, you could call this a flaw or a strength, depending on what side of the coin you're on. But he also has that hero complex a little bit, where he doesn't like killing people. He kind of tries his
Gruber
best.
likes to kill people.
Snake Eyes kills a lot of people, though.
I know, but
Like,
he doesn't do it without necessity. Like he's not just a mindless. He tries to spare those who should be spared. You could say that's a flaw, but I think it also shows his strength, as he's very smart and he knows how to find alternative methods to accomplishing the greater good. And I think that makes a pretty strong case for him.
That's true. I just want to, Kevin, I understand Steven's really pulling on the heartstrings here. He is. And I know how we feel about G.I. Joe, but I do want to counterpoint that caring about the people around him. Okay, Gruber, yeah, McClane took care of 11 guys. There's one that we don't know for sure if McClane killed. He just pistol whipped. But yeah, McClane took care of all of them. Gruber didn't really, as long as he got his money, he was still okay. But on the other hand, being a good leader, there's going to have to be some sacrifices made. And in the end, I mean, I believe Gruber did care about these people, but he saw the bigger picture, and he realized in order to get his and to get the plan to work, there had to be sacrifices. I'm not saying it was a good plan, and it definitely wasn't a heroic plan or valiant plan or whatever, but he stuck to the plan, and sometimes sacrifices have to be made. Any good soldier knows that. You do all you can to save it, but once in a while, sacrifices are made.
Hans Gruber had a plan, and John McClane messed the plan up and it didn't work for him. Snake Eyes knows how to pull things around him, and when the plan goes awry, he has a backup plan already ready for himself. And that's time. You can see that time and time again in the comics and even like in the cartoon. Bad things happen. Snake Eyes, he just picked himself up and just kept going despite the trials. He knew what to do when the plan did not go according to plan.
You can walk out of here or be carried out.
All right, real quick.
Sooner or later, I might get someone you do care about.
So for some bonus points. All right, this is gonna be fun.
Touching, cowboy, touching. Or should I call you Mr. McClane?
Each one of you, since David's busting us out, each one. Since David's busting us out, I want each of you to give me a number one quote from your character. Go ahead, Dave.
I think I gave you a few already, but
yeah, you did. Give me one more.
By the time they figure out what went wrong, we'll be sitting on a beach earning 20%.
See, that's what's up. All right, Steve, what's your Snake Eyes quote?
Oh, yes. What was it you said to me before? Yippee-ki-yay. You know the rest.
Give me a Snake Eyes quote, Steven.
Okay. Here we go. There is one time he does say Scarlet. He voices the name Scarlet. So I think David's got the bonus points there.
David's got the bonus points for sure. Snake Eyes doesn't talk a whole lot. Although, if you read that comic book, the Snake Eyes Origins, before he loses his voice, he does say quite a bit. Yeah. All right. So this is actually a harder decision than I would think it would be, than I thought it would be, because you both have some really fair points. Now,
I will say, Stephen, you're very well spoken.
And some points I give for Snake Eyes here is the fact that he is able to think on his feet. If the plan changes, he can adapt. Hans Gruber, I think he can too, but not in the same way. But that comes with being a soldier. So I don't know. And I think maybe, honestly, John McClane is clearly a superhero. So, if it would have been like a regular cop, then maybe, I could see where Hans Gruber would have been overcome that.
Like Al, if he was the one up there.
Yeah, no, exactly, for sure. But if Hans Gruber, I will contest it, or I will say that if Hans Gruber did know that John McClane was going to be there, he easily could have worked that into the plan and defeated him. For sure.
He didn't know. He
didn't know. If he would have known, man. Let's see. Hans Gruber definitely better at surrounding himself with good people. Granted, Snake Eyes is part of GI Joe, but he didn't find them; they recruited him. So, based on his skill set, and he does kind of a lone wolf. He doesn't communicate well, mostly because he can't talk. So in that sense, I definitely give it to Hans Gruber because he can speak multiple languages, communicate with pretty much anybody. He can blend in, where Snake Eyes has a little bit of a harder time doing that. Also, you can't see his face because it's all burnt up. Let's see. What are some other things I'm getting from this discussion that you guys had? David mentioned Hans Gruber being able to stay chill and keep collected, during when things kind of messed up. I'd say Snake Eyes doesn't do that so well. He lets anger get to him sometimes.
He lets his emotions cloud his judgment sometimes.
His emotions do definitely cloud his judgment. Now, and you had said before that he could have, killed but didn't. But I do think in some ways that is a bit of a weakness that Snake Eyes is unwilling to do what's necessary. But you could also argue the same for Hans Gruber. Physical prowess, Snake Eyes definitely win the fight if they're going to get physical one-on-one. But as much as I love Snake Eyes, I'd say overall, I think David had better points. I think Hans Gruber would win. He'd surround himself with the right people. He would know, especially if he knew what he was up against, he would know how to counteract that. I mean, even Cobra Commander was able to get some to drop on Snake Eyes a few times.
Yeah.
So I like Snake Eyes. That's my dude. But I got to say, overall, given the resources they have,
Yes.
I think Hans Gruber would win. It would be intense, though, and he would have to surround himself with the right people. And obviously Hans Gruber would probably recruit Storm Shadow.
And to Jabang and all those other guys. But you also have to take into account, though, that if they were one-on-one anytime, Hans would have no chance.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, guarantee. If there's just one-on-one, Snake Eyes has it hands down. There's not even a contest. But we're looking at if they have the time to prepare for the objective, whatever it is. I think Hans Gruber probably would be a better success at getting that objective completed.
He's definitely more resourceful as far as pulling the things he needs.
Yeah, Snake Eyes resourceful in the natural world, but Hans Gruber is more resourceful as far as people, and sometimes that's what counts.
It is what counts. Hans Gruber cares about people.
Well, I admit defeat. Well done.
I don't know if I admit victory because I think my argument was a little weak. I just pulled out the quotes. You did like how I had all the names of his crew, though. I had all.
I was very impressed.
Yeah, I was impressed by that.
I had backstories to each of them too, but I ran out of time for all of them. And I had the way each of them died.
I mean, I think it'd be, like I said, it's interesting because in a lot of ways, Snake Eyes definitely would take it, especially when it comes to physical fighting. But if you look and take into account, not a physical fight, but who would be more successful at completing an objective, given time planning, I think Hans Gruber would actually be more successful.
Well, this was a good activity. I liked it. Who would have ever put those two against each other in any normal world? There's no other podcast out there that would do that. Yeah. So now we got to vote for next week. I see our time's running down. We have to vote for next time, right? So who's the judge next? Do I get to be since I won or what?
You can choose. You want to be the judge or you want to go on for next round?
I don't know. Steve, I'll let Steven be the judge this time.
All right.
Because maybe I got some. I don't want Steven to go 0 for 2 like two times in a row. So we'll
you say you lost already.
And now that I've gotten the first round out of the way here, I can go a step further to go against Kevin. No, I'm just kidding. Steven had a good argument. But yeah, we'll have Steven be the judge, I guess, if it doesn't matter to you guys.
Yeah.
But sure. I'm looking at the characters. I'm forgetting some of them. I have Unicron, Papa Smurf, Captain America, Magikarp, Mario, Kool-Aid Man, Voldemort, James Bond. I'm forgetting 2 of them, I think.
BB-8.
Yes, BB-8.
Oh yeah, BB-8 was in there.
What was the last?
I have a list here.
So, okay.
I've assigned each of them a number, and I'm going to roll this 10-sided dice.
Oh,
he's been waiting to use that one, Kevin.
This is Kevin's character. I'll text Kevin first. Kevin, did you get it?
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
All right, David, you ready? I'm going to text you now.
Okay.
I'm not sure what to do with that one.
This will be sweet.
This is going to be a little bit different style battle than the last one, I think.
Yes, it will. It's going to be quite different.
I don't even know how to. Oh, geez. All right, is this going to be like a physical fight, or is this going to? Because I don't know what to do with this, man.
I'll put some things together. I know both characters, so I'll try and find some parallels for them, which will be quite difficult. But I'll find some things that overlap and we'll focus on those type of things. I think I'm really excited to see how this one turns out.
Wow, this is. I mean, yeah.
I'm good with my choice. I think I know what to do with mine. What about you, Kevin?
I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It's not a bad choice, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Mine is I won't say anything because I don't give clues. So we'll figure it out. It'll be awesome.
Can confidently say that these two characters have never been put up against each other before, ever.
Is it more far-fetched than Snake Eyes and Hans Gruber, or about the same level?
I'd say it's a little more far-fetched, if I'm being honest with you, but it'll definitely be interesting. So, well, that's what we have. Good job, David. I admit defeat, and when I come back not this next one, but the one after that, I will come back with vengeance.
So the deal is too, like, it's going to be hard to be, if you just got worked by someone like I worked Steven, it's going to be hard to be impartial next week because he's probably going to be ticked at me. But no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we just have to do our best. Like Kevin did a good job today. He took the facts into account.
Definitely.
So I still feel like Steven made a really good argument and was more like Hans Gruber in that he was well-spoken in his argument.
Thank you.
It sounded convincing, but I will graciously accept my victory.
All right, gents. So until next time, get your research done, and we'll be back in a week or two and see how this plays out.
All right, man. Sounds good.